My name is Victoria Strong, and I'm here to tell you how to have a more healthy relationship to social media, even if you rely on social media for your work and income. Okay, hi. Are you ready for today's topic? This one I'm really excited about because it is something that I have been working on since the beginning of time. And it's really, really important. I've been on the internet my whole life. I was a big Tumblr girl. I remember the advent of Instagram and when everybody in my high school started logging onto Instagram. I was in high school when it came out. Honestly, I feel kind of sad for anybody even 5 years younger than me because the internet used to be such a cool place, and it is still very cool. I mean, the fact that I can have a job like this, that's amazing. That wasn't available to my mom or my grandma. But it's not it is not healthy to be online all the time. But the internet didn't used to be engineered to be addictive like it is now. There are actual sciences, actual fields of study that inform how apps are designed, how algorithms are built in order to keep us online more. It didn't used to be like that. The internet used to be kind of like a place that we would visit, like a community center where you would go to connect, to learn, to get inspired, to be entertained, to shop. And somewhere along the way, it became almost like a second dimension, like a layer on top of our lives. We've seen increased rates of poor mental health due to social media, cyberbullying, teen suicide, all these things. I think honestly, one of the biggest things that's hard to quantify is just how much life we're giving up by spending so much time scrolling on our screens pointlessly. If you go into your weekly screen time, I know, scary, and look at what it is, can you imagine what you could have accomplished with those however many hours? I won't say mine. You could have seen your friends, you could have cooked them dinner, you could have knit a sweater, perhaps. I don't know how long knitting sweaters takes, but at least a scarf. You could have gone and laid in the sunshine or just stared at the wall, and that probably would have been more helpful to you than engaging in this numbing activity that really only serves the worst of humanity. Isn't an original thought, right? And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. If you turn this video on and you watched it, it's probably because you know you need to cut back on your screen time and you're just having a hard time doing it. It's been probably at least 5 years, maybe closer to 7, that I've had lots of friends tell me oh, I've deleted my Instagram app because I scrolled too much. I'm getting a brick phone. I'm logging off. I deleted my profile entirely. Doing a digital detox, and I remember always thinking must be nice. It must be nice to have a traditional job in this sense where you don't have to be connected in that way, and you can just opt out of something that is destroying lives. You can just turn it off. That must be nice. And if I ever complained about the effect that social media had on me, they would be oh, just turn it off. Oh, just get this blocking app, whatever, just do this. And it's just very hard to explain to those people that Instagram is where I've made all my money. I've made more money from being on Instagram than I have probably at any of my other jobs combined. It's the only place where I've made enough money to support myself. So yeah, I can't just log off. I can't just opt out. And I stayed in this kind of aware discontent state for years, just being I know this isn't great for me. I can tell the difference when I've been on Instagram too much. I don't love it, but it's kind of what I have to do. I stayed in that foggy, muddy space for years. And it wasn't until basically a year ago that I was you know what? This is my one wild and precious life. This isn't how I want to live it, and I want to it's worth the time, effort, thought, resources to figure this problem out. How can I balance making my money on the internet and also not being on the internet too much? And I actually wrote a Substack article about this in early spring of last year. If you want to read it, I think it's pretty good. I think I'm a pretty good writer. And in this article, I go more into the addictive quality of the app and how that kind of compounds when you're making your money from it, and it almost feels like a gambling addiction. even if it is like your livelihood. And I think the app developers know that and lean into it. So I write more about that in the Substack article if you're interested in that. Right now I want to focus on actual like tangible, practical things that you can do to change the role that social media plays in your life so that you can maximize the good things you get from it, like income, connection, networking, and minimize the bad effects like the anxiety, the brain fog, the wasted time. So the first thing I did to try to like get this beast under control was to log myself out of Instagram and Threads every other day using an app called Opal. And then what happened is my mood was so much better on the days that I didn't use it at all and so much worse on the days that I had unfettered access to it that it created like this mood swing effect that I like could not handle. It felt so much worse actually than just being dumb all day every day. So I almost immediately went to locking myself out of Instagram 6 days a week. And then I had like 2 days a week to create post content and comment on other people's things. And shockingly, I found that my income did not drop in this time. I just freed up a ton of extra time and mental space, and my income didn't go anywhere. Now, the problem was I wasn't at a place where I could really just coast. Like, I wasn't making enough money to be like, okay, that's it. And just like hang out at that income level. I really needed to make more money. And with this disconnection from social media, which is how I market, I wasn't shrinking my income, but I also wasn't growing it. So here's what I do now. And this is something I recommend. I'm actually going to go through a couple different ideas of what you can do because I think different things are going to work for different folks. And it kind of depends on your like levels of self-awareness, your levels of self-control, just how ready you are to get off the apps, because I think there is like times where you're like, yeah, I know it's not that great for me, but... And then there's other times where you're like, no, I need to freaking, like, I can't live like this. So it kind of depends on where you're at as to like which strategies are going to work best for you. What I do right now is a kind of a strategic app deletion where every time I catch myself in a numbing scroll that is like any scroll that's purposeless, where I'm not like consciously looking for inspo or like getting inspired or like listening and learning, if I'm just like scrolling, I delete the app immediately. And it has taken some practice to develop this amount of like self-awareness in order to catch it pretty quick and be able to delete it. I just delete it off my phone, and then I only re-download it again when there is content that I am like really excited to put out there. I only download it again if there's something I really want to say. So the upside to this strategy is that it creates a void where creativity can grow. I make a lot better content when I'm not consuming so much content. And so because of this strategy, the posts I make are better, they're getting more reach, they're getting more follows, I'm getting more inquiries. The other upside is that it's free. You don't have to like download any kind of app or pay any kind of subscription to do this one, so I love that. Drawbacks are, like I said, it does require a pretty high level of self-awareness and self-control to say this isn't a good scroll and boom, automatically it's gone. Like the apps are designed to keep you from doing just that. And then the other big drawback to this one is if your social media strategy is heavily reliant on Instagram Reels and you like make drafts of Reels to save and post later, if you delete the app, it will delete your drafts. So I didn't want to offer this one as a strategy without that caveat. Like you will lose your drafts if you're keeping them in the Instagram app. If you keep them outside the app, if you keep them in like the edits app or your camera roll or wherever, then you're good. But if you're keeping them in the Instagram app, beware. Okay, the other strategy is actually, I guess, the first one I mentioned, the first thing I tried, which is Opal. This is not an ad. I do just like this app. It's a paid app, but I think it's like very worth it when you consider the value that it adds to your life. If you're struggling to hold boundaries with social media, you pay, it's not more than $15 a month. It helps a ton. Like the quality of your life that you'll get back is worth way more than 15 bucks. So on Opal, you can choose times to be locked out of your apps. And what's cool about this is that you can create like specific working hours, which can help you like create more structure and routine in your day. If you know like, oh, from noon to 2, that's my content creation or my like commenting time. And it trains you to be more productive in those hours because you have to make the most of them before you get locked out. Because if you log in and you waste your time, which you might do at first as you're getting the hang of it, then you'll be logged out and then you'll be like, shoot, I didn't get all my work done. Next time I get logged in, I'm gonna have to lock in. And the drawback of this one is just the price. Like I said, I think it's well worth it, but it really depends on your budget and how much you have to spare for this problem. And then the third strategy is actually one I think that we should all employ, which is just becoming less reliant on social media as our main marketing strategy. It's still great. Lots of people are still using it. It's incredibly cool. But there was a time where it was perfectly reasonable for Instagram to be your only marketing strategy and you could make tons of sales off of that. But people just like you and I they want to spend less time on social media. And that doesn't mean they don't need what you're selling. It just means they might need somewhere else to be able to access it. So working on things like longer form content that's less scrolly, like YouTube videos, Substack, blog, and email are all great. And I also want us all to get out in the world more and start meeting more people. Going to networking events, holding our own events. Just like before social media, people still ran successful businesses. I'm not going to tell you to do door-to-door sales because that sounds miserable, but people did that. So I think a cool thought exercise would be to imagine it is the year 1990. You are trying to run a similar business to the one you're running now. How would you market it? Where would you get your clients? And do a little bit of that too on the side of your social media. It's actually like so joyful to find a client in real life. I've done it a handful of times this year. Especially if you're used to only doing your work online and in a social media context, to take it to the real world, it's just very fulfilling. And now it gets to be completely separate of that icky phenomenon that's keeping you like trapped in scroll loops, that's keeping you anxious, it's keeping you depressed. You can basically just do the fun parts of your job. It's Tori from the future. I came back because when I recorded this originally a couple days ago, I think I left out a really key part, so I wanted to come back and rectify that. I also just totally forgot to mention one of the strategies for being on your phone less. And this is for those of you who feel like you've tried app deletion, you've tried blocking yourself out of apps, and you tend to just override them. And you need something that's going to help you hold that boundary with a little more intensity. It's something called the brick. You may have heard of it. I actually haven't used it, so I can't like fully endorse it as something that I've personally used, but I know a lot of people who have had a really good experience with them. It's just like a little device that you put somewhere in your house, like on your fridge, and you have to like physically tap your phone to the device to unlock it. And creating that barrier of one, needing to be home, and two, needing to like get up and walk over to it creates enough resistance that it could be more helpful than if you just need to like press buttons to re-download or to override your settings. So that could be helpful to look into. Once again, I do think it's serious enough to spend some money on it. Like getting your life back is absolutely worth it to me. And then I also just wanted to offer something a little more helpful when it comes to actually stopping, because we talked a lot about stopping. Like, we know we want to stop scrolling, we know we want to look at our phones less, but a lot of the times when we're fixated on what we want less of, it's not as effective as focusing on what we want more of, right? So, I mean, our brains actually work quite a bit like little kids' brains do in a way. So if you like go pick up a kid from school and you're like, you're not gonna have a ton of ice cream today. You are not gonna have ice cream. You're not having ice cream. That kid's gonna be like thinking about ice cream and wanting ice cream and going to the freezer and staring longingly at the ice cream and asking you for ice cream, right? Whereas if you say like, today we're gonna have this really yummy salad and we're gonna put lots of toppings on it and it's gonna be so many cool rainbow colors, we're gonna have lovely salad. the kid's gonna be thinking about ice cream less, at least. This is something that has helped me reduce time spent on social media. It's also something that's helped me in other areas of my life, like with my diet. That's where I learned it originally. It's this idea, they call it crowding out. You want to crowd your plate with the things you want to eat more of, so there's just less room for the things you want less of. And we can do that with our time too, where we can fill our hours with happy, fulfilling, creative, connective tasks, so there just isn't as much time or temptation to even open your phone. If you are good at not being on your phone when you have friends around, then start scheduling more times for your friends to come over. For me, I find I pick up my phone a lot when I want to rest, because it's just easy to grab for and be entertained. So something I've done in the past is have like a little activity basket with whatever I'm working on, whether that's just like a coloring book and coloring pencils, or if you're into something like crochet or some kind of little physical activity, in a little bag by the couch where you usually scroll. That way it's like almost just as easy as picking up your phone, and even if it doesn't sound as fun in the moment, if you just pick it up for a few minutes and see if that's what you want to do instead, you can start crowding out all the hours that you've spent on your phone with things that you like to do more, or things that you want to do more. Okay, that's all I had to pop in to say. I'm gonna go record the next episode, which is going to be about knowing if you need to rebrand or if you need to just chill. So it's gonna come out a week from this one. I'm batching a little bit of content so that when I'm out of town for Christmas, I can just can kind of have a vacation from recording anyway. I'm still gonna be editing and I'm gonna have client work, but I wanna take it a little bit easier. Okay, bye. I'm almost embarrassed to post this one because it is such a chronically online point of view, and I think people who hold more traditional jobs probably don't get it. But I get it. I see you. Like, any social media hole that you've dug yourself into has just been because you've dreamt of a better life for yourself. And any hole that you've dug for yourself is one that you can absolutely dig yourself back out of. It's not that serious. Depending on your age, you've lived without social media before and you can do it again. And actually, if you are so young that you haven't lived in a world without social media, and this is kind of your first time taking major steps back from it, I'm really excited for you, because like I said, there's so much out there that we give up when we decide, or not even get the chance to intentionally decide, to spend so much of our time looking at our little screens. And there's this expansion that just opens up in your chest and in your mind, where you get to ask yourself, how do I want to spend my days? The things you spend your days on add up, and that is your life, right? What's the saying? How you spend your days is how you spend your life. How are you spending your life, and how satisfied are you with the way that you're spending your life? By the way, we are now at 50 subscribers. And as promised, I'm going to send a thank you letter to each of you individually. I made really cute prints. I would show them, but I kind of want the people who are going to get them to be the first to experience them. So I made a little Google form that I'll put in the description on this video. Click that link, give me your info, and I will send one of those to you. Even if you subscribed after the 50 person mark, go ahead and put your info in just in case I have extra, because I think I will. I think there's a good chance you'll get one. And yeah, officially, formally, thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I didn't expect this to be as fun as it is. I have lots of ideas and plans for the new year that I will share later. But for now, I just want to pause and be excited that we made it to this first little milestone. It feels incredible. Okay, last thing before I go. You have to break free. You know this, I know this. You can't give your life away to the attention economy, to the billionaires who are running the apps, who are making bank off keeping you in a life that is less than what you deserve. It is hurting your life energy. It is probably hurting your business, and it is a massive waste of your most precious resource, which is your time. It's time to take this really seriously. You can totally do it, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. And if you've already made some kind of massive change to your relationship to social media, I would love to hear how that went in the comments because we all need to support each other on this one.